Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be covering 6-speed gearboxes. Now before we just jump straight into planetary stacks, I just wanted to show you that there is other type of gearboxes that you can build as well. This is what I call inline gearbox, my own design, because it's called the inline because it powers all the gears in one straight line from the motor. This gives you three nice benefits. Firstly, you can literally stack infinite amount of gears on this thing, which can just go forever. If you've got the power to move it, this thing will provide the gears to go. Secondly, there's no double powering because the gears that's not in use or the shifters that's not in use is in idle positions, all of them, and have two gears to select from. And also because of the layout, the straight layout, as soon as the shifter engages in a gear, it disengages the previous gears, making them not double powered. And the third benefit of this, which is the whole point of the design, is the fact that you can make bespoke ratios. These 6 ratios I chose specifically and built the gearbox around the ratios. So here we can see first gear, second gear, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. And there's the main axle that's driving the power out. The nice benefit of these is the fact that because you got the output power shaft running the length of the car, basically it's just a small little bit of plumbing to the front to make this four-wheel drive. You can see it looks pretty nice. Now I just showed you this, let's go have a look at the planetary stack. And here we have the 6-speed planetary box. Same as last time, split box design, power in the middle. Now this design you can see only has the one motor in it, but that's because of this sleek setup, which we'll see better just now in the X menu. But it's basically the same 3-piece combo as last time. Planetary setup is the one piece, the splitter is the other, and the motor the third. As we can see here, it's got that stretch on the top from the planetaries as we saw last time. This is a useless 6 gear, never gonna make it, but we're still getting pretty good stats off one motor. We can ignore the motor section because we're obviously going with 4 motors, but we can look at the 2 pieces from the gearbox and see what we can learn from that. That feeds from the motor. So you might have noticed the positioning is a little bit off here. It's because this motor uses some dark arts. Because if we have the shifter getting straight powered from the axle out the motor, it's going to be in a slightly different position to what it is here, meaning it's going to be one up, and then that would push this hanger one up, putting this planetary stack one up, which means if we didn't use the dark arts, this whole section, everything except the motor, will be pulled one higher. Some might say, yeah, that's fine, just copy and paste and put it one higher. I say no, let's redesign. We want efficiency. Let's see what we can do here. We want to incorporate the 3 motors. That's going to push the weight way more forward, because this car, the sleek design with the dark arts, is designed for this car to put that center of mass where it needs to be. We drop 3 more motors in here, that center of mass is getting pulled forward, which means we're going to need to redesign it. Most of the mass comes from the motors, so we don't want to put motors this side, we want to put motors this side. That means we can't fit the planetary in here. which means we're gonna have to swap the planetary stack and that around, making that give us output here and input. So power will go from this side that way, meaning if we want to keep this, yeah, so there's our next limitation. We need to keep that 0.8 step down, which means power needs to come from this small gear to the big gear, meaning that we can't keep the small gear at the top. Power needs to come into this axle to the planetary stack, and that's going to feed back to this because this is now going to sit in the back. So these two pieces is going to swap around, and these two pieces are going to swap around, and this is going to get powered from the motor. Now if we keep both shifters at the top, we're shifting this whole planetary stack every time. That's a lot of weight, and I'm not sure how that shifting the weight's gonna work while driving. So we're gonna swap that up and fix the stack in position, or like this, keep the stack fixed in position and keep the shifter on the small gears. But now if we power the shifter straight from the motor, it's gonna shift the spacing required will shift this planetary stack one above the motor. So what we're gonna do is actually shift the motor up by plumbing this 3 shifter underneath the motor. What we're gonna do is we're gonna invert this planetary stack, swap the 2 pieces of the gearbox around, and then lower the planetary stack relative to the motor as well. Let's go build. That sounds confusing, but let's go build it. And here we have it. The 4-banger in the middle, getting powered out the back to keep the planetary stack flush with the motor, and a 3 shifter running down the bottom of it to keep our axle from the planetary stack down 1, keeping our profile nice and sleek, straight into that 2 shifter to the axle. Here we can see the ratio is the same, just more power because now we got the 4-banger. And we hit our mark. It's just behind the halfway point. Perfect. Quite a bit of redesign in that box, but it's basically the same box just with a bigger motor. Let's go test it out. And here's the final product. Wings, because we're going extremely fast now. 87, that's kind of madness on half a ton. It's like basically just 19 kgs more compared to that other car if we ignore the 3 motors weights. That's not bad. Again, we won't use that 6 gear. Now just again to show that you don't just have to do what everyone else is doing by making planetary stacks, because that's not all about planetary stacks. Here is a bespoke 6-speed that I made. It's just for comparison. And there it is. As you can see, that first lap where I was pushing it a bit, I was going better than my best time for Secret Queen, just because I have my own build where I only use 2 motors at the moment. I'm doing 2-cylinder runs, so that's why this 4-cylinder was beating it. But yeah, as you can see, this thing easily 330 Secret Queen. Easy below that. Hope you guys enjoy the 6-speed.